Welcome to our journey towards quietly eliminating the things that hinder our lives. Today, we dive into a topic that is both intimate and transformative: negative self-talk. This silent saboteur has a profound effect on our self-esteem, motivation, and overall well-being. Understanding and overcoming negative self-talk can pave the way for a more positive and fulfilling life. Negative self-talk is a habit we often overlook, but it can quietly erode our confidence and happiness. It's the internal dialogue that whispers harsh judgments, doubts, and criticisms. You're not good enough. You'll never succeed, or you always mess things up. These seemingly innocent thoughts can become a relentless internal monologue, shaping our self-image and influencing our actions. Let's consider how negative self-talk manifests. It may start with a single critical thought, perhaps sparked by a minor mistake or a setback. But over time, these thoughts accumulate, feeding into a larger narrative of self-doubt. This internal criticism can become a constant companion, quietly undermining our efforts and achievements. To address this, we first need to recognize the impact of negative self-talk. Research has shown that our thoughts significantly affect our emotions and behaviors. When we indulge in negative self-talk, we reinforce feelings of inadequacy and helplessness. This not only affects our mental health, but can also influence our physical well-being, leading to stress and even depression. The first step in overcoming negative self-talk is awareness. Begin by paying close attention to your inner dialogue. Notice when you start to criticize yourself. Is it after a minor error, or when you're facing a challenging task? By identifying these patterns, you can start to address them more effectively. Once you're aware of these negative thoughts, it's important to challenge them. Ask yourself, is this thought really true? Are you being too harsh on yourself? Often, our inner critic exaggerates and distorts reality. By questioning the validity of these thoughts, you can begin to shift your perspective. For instance, if you think, "I'm terrible at my job," challenge this by listing your accomplishments and strengths. This practice helps to counterbalance the negativity and build a more realistic self-view. Replacing negative self-talk with positive affirmations is another powerful strategy. Positive affirmations are short, uplifting statements that reinforce a positive self-image. Instead of dwelling on your flaws, focus on your strengths and achievements. For example, instead of saying, "I'm not capable of handling this," you might say, "I have the skills and experience to overcome this challenge." Repeating these affirmations can gradually shift your mindset and build self-confidence. Another technique is to practice self-compassion. Treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer a friend. When you make a mistake, instead of berating yourself, acknowledge the error and remind yourself that it's part of the learning process. Self-compassion involves recognizing that everyone makes mistakes and that they do not define our worth. It's also helpful to set realistic goals and expectations for yourself. Negative self-talk often arises from setting standards that are too high or unattainable. By setting achievable goals and celebrating your progress, you can build a more positive and supportive inner dialogue. Recognize your efforts and accomplishments, no matter how small, and use them as a foundation for building self-esteem. Incorporating mindfulness into your daily routine can further support this process. Mindfulness involves being present and aware of your thoughts and feelings without judgment. By practicing mindfulness, you can observe negative self-talk without becoming overwhelmed by it. This distance allows you to address these thoughts more calmly and rationally. As you work to eliminate negative self-talk, it's important to be patient with yourself. Change doesn't happen overnight, and it's natural to encounter setbacks along the way. The key is to remain persistent and continue applying these strategies. Over time, you'll find that the frequency and intensity of negative self-talk diminish, replaced by a more positive and supportive inner dialogue. Remember, the goal isn't to eliminate all self-doubt or criticism, but to transform it into constructive feedback. By quietly addressing negative self-talk, you can foster a more resilient and positive mindset. This change, though subtle, has the potential to profoundly impact your self-esteem and overall quality of life. Eliminating negative self-talk requires a mindful and intentional approach. By recognizing and challenging these thoughts, replacing them with positive affirmations, practicing self-compassion, setting realistic goals, and incorporating mindfulness, you can transform your inner dialogue. This silent shift can lead to greater self-confidence and a more fulfilling life. Next, we will delve into toxic relationships and how to quietly distance yourself from those that drain your energy. Number 2, toxic relationships, and we turn our attention to a particularly sensitive yet crucial topic: toxic relationships. These are the connections in our lives that undermine our well-being and peace of mind. Recognizing and quietly distancing ourselves from these relationships can be one of the most liberating changes we can make. Toxic relationships can be difficult to pinpoint because they often start with subtle signs and can evolve over time. They might begin with seemingly minor disagreements or misunderstandings, but as they continue, they can erode our self-esteem and emotional health. These relationships are characterized by manipulation, constant criticism, lack of support, or emotional dependency. One of the first steps in addressing toxic relationships is recognizing them. This requires a deep level of self-awareness and honesty. Ask yourself, do you feel drained or unappreciated after interacting with certain people? Are there individuals in your life who consistently undermine your confidence or make you feel inadequate? The presence of these feelings can be a red flag indicating a toxic relationship. Once you've identified a toxic relationship, it's important to understand its impact on your life. These relationships often create a cycle of negativity, where the toxic behavior reinforces your feelings of self-doubt and frustration. This cycle can be incredibly damaging, leading to increased stress, anxiety, and even depression. Quietly distancing yourself from toxic individuals doesn't necessarily mean cutting them out abruptly or causing a dramatic confrontation. Sometimes, the most effective approach is to gradually reduce your exposure to them. This allows you to preserve your own peace of mind while navigating the complexities of the relationship. Start by setting clear boundaries. Boundaries are essential in maintaining your emotional health and ensuring that your needs are respected. This might involve limiting the time you spend with the individual or being clear about what behaviors you will not tolerate. Setting boundaries can be done subtly, without needing to make a grand statement or confrontation. Another strategy is to focus on self-care. By prioritizing your own well-being, you can build resilience against the negative effects of toxic relationships. Engage in activities that bring you joy and relaxation, and surround yourself with supportive and positive influences. This self-care will not only help you cope with the toxic dynamics, but also strengthen your sense of self-worth. It's also important to seek support from trusted friends or a counselor. Sometimes discussing your experiences with someone who understands can provide valuable perspective and emotional support. They can offer insights into your situation and help you navigate the complexities of the relationship with greater clarity. As you work to distance yourself from toxic relationships, remember that it's okay to prioritize your own well-being. You don't owe anyone a relationship that consistently harms you. It's a sign of strength and self-respect to recognize when a relationship is detrimental and to take steps to protect yourself from it. In some cases, you might need to have a direct conversation with the person involved. If the relationship is important to you and you believe it can be improved, expressing your feelings honestly can sometimes lead to positive change. However, this should be approached with care and only if you feel safe doing so. Sometimes, despite our best efforts, relationships remain toxic and require us to take more definitive steps. Lastly, embrace the process of letting go. It's natural to feel a sense of loss or guilt when distancing yourself from someone, especially if you've been close to them. Allow yourself to grieve the end of the relationship, but also recognize the freedom and opportunity that comes with moving forward. Letting go of toxic relationships opens up space for healthier, more supportive connections in your life. In conclusion, addressing toxic relationships requires a blend of awareness, boundary setting, self-care, and sometimes direct communication. By quietly distancing yourself from these negative influences, you make space for more positive and supportive interactions. This silent yet powerful shift can significantly enhance your emotional well-being and overall quality of life. Next, we will delve into unproductive habits and how to replace them with routines that support your personal growth. Until then, continue to nurture your well-being by making mindful decisions about the relationships in your life. Number 3, unproductive habits. In our journey towards quiet transformation, we will explore unproductive habits, those everyday practices that subtly hinder our progress and well-being. By quietly addressing and replacing these habits, we can pave the way for a more productive and fulfilling life. Unproductive habits are often ingrained in our daily routines, making them easy to overlook. They may include procrastination, excessive screen time, disorganization, or unhealthy coping mechanisms. These habits might provide temporary comfort or distraction, but they ultimately hold us back from reaching our goals and realizing our potential. To begin, it's essential to identify which habits are unproductive and why. Take a moment to reflect on your daily routines. Are there certain activities that consistently prevent you from being as productive or fulfilled as you'd like to be? Perhaps you spend hours scrolling through social media instead of focusing on important tasks, or you find yourself repeatedly putting off essential projects. Recognizing these habits is the first step toward change. Once identified, consider the underlying reasons for their persistence. Often, unproductive habits serve as coping mechanisms for stress, boredom, or a lack of motivation. Understanding these root causes can help you address the habits more effectively and replace them with positive alternatives. One common unproductive habit is procrastination. It's a pattern that involves delaying tasks until the last minute, leading to increased stress and lower quality of work. To combat procrastination, start by breaking tasks into smaller, more manageable steps. Set clear deadlines for each step and focus on completing them one at a time. This approach can make tasks feel less overwhelming and help you build momentum. Another habit that many struggle with is excessive screen time. While technology offers numerous benefits, it can also be a major source of distraction. To manage screen time effectively, set specific limits for recreational use and create designated times for focused work or leisure. Consider implementing digital detox periods where you disconnect from screens to engage in other enriching activities, such as reading or spending time outdoors. Disorganization is another unproductive habit that can impact various aspects of life, from work to personal space. A cluttered environment can lead to decreased productivity and increased stress. To address this, establish a system for organizing your space and tasks. Start with small areas, like your desk or a single room, and gradually expand to other areas. Regularly declutter and maintain this organization to foster a more focused and calm environment. Unhealthy coping mechanisms, such as emotional eating or excessive drinking, can also be unproductive habits. These behaviors often serve as temporary fixes for underlying issues, but can lead to long-term negative consequences. To address these habits, identify healthier alternatives that can provide similar comfort or relief. For example, instead of turning to food or alcohol, consider engaging in physical activity, practicing mindfulness, or seeking support from friends or a counselor. Replacing unproductive habits with productive ones involves creating new routines that align with your goals and values. Start by choosing one habit to focus on and gradually incorporate positive changes. For instance, if you want to reduce procrastination, set aside specific times each day for focused work and use techniques like the Pomodoro technique to maintain concentration. It's also helpful to track your progress and celebrate small victories along the way. Recognize the efforts you're making to replace unproductive habits and acknowledge the positive impact these changes have on your life. This reinforcement can boost your motivation and encourage you to continue making progress. Remember, change doesn't happen overnight, and it's natural to encounter setbacks. Be patient with yourself and stay committed to your goals. The key is to persistently apply these new routines and adjust them as needed to fit your evolving needs and circumstances. In addition to individual habits, consider the influence of your environment and social circle. Surround yourself with people who support your goals and engage in activities that reinforce your new routines. By creating an environment that fosters productivity and well-being, you can further strengthen your commitment to positive change. In conclusion, addressing unproductive habits involves recognizing and understanding them, replacing them with constructive routines, and maintaining patience and persistence. By making these quiet yet powerful changes, you can enhance your productivity, reduce stress, and achieve a greater sense of fulfillment. Coming up, we will delve into the impact of excessive social media use and how to cultivate a healthier relationship with technology. Until then, continue to refine your daily routines and embrace the positive changes that lead to a more productive and rewarding life. Number 4. Excessive social media use. We'll explore the impact of excessive social media use on our lives and how to quietly reduce its influence to cultivate a healthier relationship with technology. Social media, while offering numerous benefits, can also become a significant drain on our time, energy, and mental well-being if not managed carefully. Social media platforms are designed to be engaging, drawing us in with endless streams of content, notifications, and interactions. While these platforms can connect us with others and provide entertainment, they can also lead to negative consequences when used excessively. These may include increased feelings of anxiety, depression, loneliness, and a constant comparison to others' seemingly perfect lives. The first step in addressing excessive social media use is recognizing its impact on your life. Ask yourself, how much time do you spend on social media each day? Do you find yourself mindlessly scrolling, losing track of time, or feeling anxious or inadequate after using these platforms? These are signs that your social media use might be excessive and could benefit from moderation. Excessive social media use can interfere with various aspects of life, from productivity to mental health. It can distract us from important tasks, reduce the quality of our sleep, and even affect our relationships by taking time away from meaningful, in-person interactions. By acknowledging these effects, you can begin to make conscious changes to your social media habits. One effective strategy to reduce social media use is to set specific limits for yourself. Decide on a reasonable amount of time to spend on social media each day and stick to it. You might use built-in tools on your devices that track and limit your screen time. These tools can send you reminders when you've reached your daily limit, helping you stay mindful of your usage. Another approach is to create designated social media-free zones in your day. For example, you might decide not to check social media during meals, before bed, or during the first hour after waking up. These designated times allow you to focus on other activities that contribute to your well-being, such as reading, exercising, or spending quality time with loved ones. It's also helpful to curate your social media feed to reflect positive, inspiring content. Unfollow accounts that consistently make you feel inadequate or anxious, and instead follow accounts that uplift and motivate you. By surrounding yourself with content that supports your goals and values, you can make your social media experience more positive and less draining. Consider implementing a digital detox period where you take a break from social media altogether for a set amount of time. This could be for a few hours, a day, or even a week. During this time, focus on activities that nurture your mind and body, such as spending time in nature, engaging in a hobby, or practicing mindfulness. A digital detox can help you reset your relationship with social media and remind you of the richness of life beyond the screen. Mindfulness plays a crucial role in managing social media use. Be aware of your motivations for using social media and how it makes you feel. Are you using it to connect with others, or as a distraction from stress or boredom? By understanding your motivations, you can make more intentional choices about when and how you engage with social media. It's also important to cultivate offline connections, invest time in building and maintaining relationships with friends and family in the real world. Face-to-face interactions can be far more fulfilling than online ones, providing deeper emotional support and a stronger sense of connection. Remember that social media often presents a curated version of reality. People tend to share the highlights of their lives, leaving out the struggles and imperfections. Keep this in mind when scrolling through your feed, and avoid comparing your life to the polished images you see online. Instead, focus on your own journey and achievements. Reducing social media use doesn't mean you have to give it up entirely. It's about finding a balance that allows you to enjoy the benefits of social media without letting it take over your life. By setting boundaries, being mindful of your usage, and prioritizing real-life connections, you can create a healthier relationship with social media. In conclusion, excessive social media use can quietly erode our time, focus, and mental well-being. By recognizing its impact, setting limits, curating your feed, and practicing mindfulness, you can reduce its influence and foster a more balanced, fulfilling life. We will next explore the power of decluttering and how a more organized environment can lead to a clearer mind and more focused life. Number 5. Clutter and disorganization. Moving along, we'll explore the impact of clutter and disorganization on our lives and how creating a more orderly environment can lead to a clearer mind and more focused life. Clutter isn't just about physical space, it's also about mental space. By addressing the clutter in our surroundings, we can foster a sense of calm, clarity, and control. Clutter accumulates gradually, often without us even noticing. It might start with a few papers left on the desk, items piling up in the closet, or digital files scattered across our devices. Over time, this clutter can create a sense of chaos and overwhelm, making it difficult to focus and find what we need when we need it. Disorganization can lead to wasted time, increased stress, and a feeling of being out of control. The first step in addressing clutter is recognizing its effects on your life. Take a moment to reflect on your environment. Is your space cluttered or disorganized? How does it make you feel when you enter a cluttered room or sit down at a messy desk? If you find that these spaces leave you feeling stressed, anxious, or unfocused, it's a sign that decluttering could significantly improve your well-being. Clutter can also be a form of procrastination. We hold on to things we don't need, often because we don't want to make decisions about them. What if I need this someday? Or I'll deal with this later, are common thoughts that contribute to clutter. By postponing these decisions, we allow clutter to build up, adding to our mental load and making it harder to focus on what truly matters. To begin decluttering, start with one small area at a time. This could be your desk, a single drawer, or a corner of a room. The key is to tackle manageable sections so you don't feel overwhelmed. As you work through each area, ask yourself, do I really need this? Does it serve a purpose or bring me joy? If the answer is no, it's time to let it go. The process of decluttering is not just about getting rid of things, it's about making intentional choices about what you keep. Surround yourself with items that support your goals, bring you joy, and serve a clear purpose. This helps create an environment that reflects your values and aspirations, making it easier to stay focused and motivated. Once you've decluttered a space, organize what remains in a way that makes sense for you. Consider how you use the space and arrange items so they're easy to find and access. For example, keep frequently used items within reach and store less used items out of the way. Labeling containers, creating designated spots for essentials, and using storage solutions like baskets, shelves, and drawers can help maintain order. Digital clutter is another area that often goes unnoticed, but can be just as overwhelming as physical clutter. Consider your computer desktop, email inbox, and digital files. Are they organized, or do they feel chaotic? Start by deleting unnecessary files, organizing documents into folders, and unsubscribing from emails you no longer need. A clear digital space can reduce stress and improve productivity, just like a tidy physical environment. Decluttering isn't just a one-time task, it's an ongoing process. Life is dynamic, and clutter has a way of creeping back in if we're not mindful. Make it a habit to regularly assess your spaces and clear out anything that's no longer serving you. Whether it's a weekly tidy-up or a seasonal purge, maintaining this practice can help you stay organized and keep your environment supportive of your well-being. As you declutter your physical space, you may also notice a positive effect on your mental space. A tidy environment can reduce feelings of overwhelm and create a sense of peace and control. This, in turn, frees up mental energy that can be directed toward more meaningful activities, such as pursuing your goals, spending time with loved ones, or simply enjoying the moment. It's important to be patient with yourself during this process. Decluttering can be emotionally challenging, especially when it comes to letting go of items that hold sentimental value or represent past goals. Remember that letting go of physical items doesn't mean letting go of the memories or experiences associated with them. If you're struggling to part with something, consider taking a photo or writing about its significance before letting it go. In conclusion, clutter and disorganization can quietly undermine our peace of mind and productivity. By taking small, intentional steps to declutter and organize our environments, we can create spaces that support our well-being and help us focus on what truly matters. The process may take time, but the benefits of a clear, organized space are well worth the effort. Number 6, the fear of failure. The fear of failure, a deep-seated emotion that can paralyze our progress and keep us from reaching our full potential. By understanding and quietly shifting our mindset around failure, we can unlock new possibilities for growth, learning, and achievement. Failure is a natural part of life, yet it's something many of us dread. The fear of failure often stems from a desire for perfection, a need for approval, or past experiences that have left us feeling inadequate or embarrassed. This fear can manifest in various ways: procrastination, self-doubt, avoidance of new challenges, or even a refusal to try at all. To begin addressing the fear of failure, it's important to recognize its presence in your life. Reflect on the areas where you've held back or avoided taking risks. Is there a project you've been putting off because you're afraid you won't succeed? Are there opportunities you've passed up because you fear you're not good enough? Identifying these patterns is the first step in breaking free from the grip of fear. One of the most powerful ways to overcome the fear of failure is to reframe your understanding of what failure truly means. Failure is not the opposite of success. Rather, it's a part of the journey towards success. Every mistake or setback is an opportunity to learn, grow, and improve. When we shift our mindset to view failure as a stepping stone rather than a dead end, we begin to embrace it as a necessary and valuable part of our personal and professional development. Think about some of the most successful people you know or admire. It's likely that they've experienced significant failures along the way. What sets them apart is not the absence of failure, but their resilience and willingness to learn from their mistakes. They understand that failure is not a reflection of their worth, but a natural outcome of taking risks and pushing boundaries. Another strategy for overcoming the fear of failure is to set realistic and flexible goals. When we set goals that are too rigid or unattainable, we set ourselves up for disappointment. Instead, aim for progress rather than perfection. Break your goals into smaller, manageable steps and allow room for adjustments along the way. This approach not only reduces the pressure to succeed at all costs, but also allows you to celebrate incremental achievements. It's also important to practice self-compassion. When you experience a setback, resist the urge to be overly critical or harsh with yourself. Instead, treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer to a friend in a similar situation. Acknowledge your efforts, reflect on what you've learned, and remind yourself that it's okay to stumble as you work toward your goals. Taking action, even in the face of fear, is a crucial part of overcoming the fear of failure. Start by taking small, calculated risks that push you slightly out of your comfort zone. This might mean speaking up in a meeting, trying a new hobby, or applying for a job you're interested in but unsure you'll get. Each time you take a step forward, you build confidence and resilience, making it easier to tackle larger challenges in the future. Surrounding yourself with a supportive community can also make a significant difference. Share your goals and challenges with trusted friends, mentors, or colleagues who can offer encouragement and constructive feedback. Their perspective can help you see your failures in a different light and remind you that you're not alone in your struggles. Finally, it's important to cultivate a growth mindset. A growth mindset is the belief that our abilities and intelligence can be developed through effort, learning, and perseverance. When we adopt a growth mindset, we view challenges as opportunities to grow rather than threats to our self-worth. We become more willing to take risks, embrace uncertainty, and persist in the face of difficulties. In practical terms, cultivating a growth mindset involves embracing challenges, persisting through obstacles, learning from criticism, and finding inspiration in the success of others. When faced with a setback, ask yourself, what can I learn from this experience? How can I use this knowledge to improve? This mindset shift can transform the way you approach both success and failure, leading to greater resilience and long-term achievement. In conclusion, the fear of failure is a powerful force that can hold us back from realizing our potential. By reframing our understanding of failure, setting realistic goals, practicing self-compassion, taking action, and cultivating a growth mindset, we can quietly shift our relationship with failure and embrace it as a valuable part of our journey. Continue to take small, courageous steps toward your goals, knowing that failure is not something to fear, but a stepping stone to your success. Number 7. Negativity and negative influences. We are now going to delve into the subtle yet pervasive impact of negativity and negative influences on our lives. We'll explore how these forces can quietly drain our energy, dampen our spirits, and hinder our growth, and how we can gently eliminate them to create a more positive, fulfilling life. Negativity can take many forms. It might be the critical inner voice that doubts your abilities, the constant exposure to pessimistic news, or even the influence of people in your life who bring you down rather than lift you up. Over time, these negative forces can shape your mindset, affect your mood, and limit your potential. To begin addressing negativity, it's important to recognize where it's coming from. Start by tuning into your thoughts and emotions. Are there patterns of negative self-talk that undermine your confidence? Do you frequently find yourself feeling drained or demotivated after certain interactions or activities? Identifying the sources of negativity is the first step in reclaiming your mental and emotional well-being. One common source of negativity is our own inner dialogue. The way we talk to ourselves can have a profound impact on how we perceive the world and our place in it. If your self-talk is filled with doubt, criticism, or fear, it can create a self-fulfilling cycle of negativity. To counteract this, practice cultivating a more compassionate and empowering inner voice. When you catch yourself thinking negatively, pause and reframe your thoughts instead of saying, "I can't do this." Try, "This is challenging, but I can learn and grow from it." Another significant source of negativity is the media we consume. News outlets, social media, and entertainment can often focus on sensational, fear-inducing, or divisive content. While it's important to stay informed, it's equally important to be mindful of how this content affects your mindset. Consider setting boundaries on your media consumption. Limit the amount of time you spend on news and social media, and choose sources that provide balanced, constructive perspectives. Additionally, seek out content that inspires, educates, and uplifts you. The people we surround ourselves with can also have a major influence on our mindset and outlook. While it's important to maintain relationships, it's equally important to recognize when certain individuals consistently bring negativity into your life. These might be friends, family members, or colleagues who are constantly critical, pessimistic, or draining. While it may not always be possible to eliminate these relationships entirely, you can set healthy boundaries to protect your well-being. This might mean limiting your interactions, steering conversations away from negative topics, or consciously choosing to spend more time with people who are positive, supportive, and aligned with your values. It's also important to be aware of environments that contribute to negativity. Your physical surroundings can influence your mood and energy levels. A cluttered, chaotic space can create feelings of stress and overwhelm, while a clean, organized environment can promote calm and clarity. Take time to assess your living and working spaces. Are there areas that feel draining or uninspiring? Consider how you can create an environment that nurtures positivity, whether it's through decluttering, adding elements of nature, or incorporating colors and objects that bring you joy. Eliminating negativity isn't just about removing the bad, it's also about consciously inviting more positivity into your life. Engage in activities that uplift and energize you. This could be anything from practicing gratitude, spending time in nature, engaging in creative pursuits, or connecting with loved ones. The more you fill your life with positive experiences, the less space there will be for negativity to take root. Gratitude, in particular, is a powerful antidote to negativity. By focusing on what you're grateful for, you can shift your attention away from what's lacking or going wrong and toward what's abundant and going well. Consider starting a gratitude journal, where you write down a few things you're thankful for each day. This simple practice can help you cultivate a more positive outlook over time. Mindfulness is another tool that can help you manage negativity. By staying present and aware, you can observe negative thoughts and emotions without becoming overwhelmed by them. Instead of reacting to negativity, you can acknowledge it, understand it, and then choose how to respond. This awareness gives you the power to break free from negative patterns and create more intentional, positive habits. Finally, it's important to be patient and gentle with yourself as you work to eliminate negativity. Changing deeply ingrained patterns of thought and behavior takes time and effort. There will be setbacks, but each step forward is progress. Celebrate your successes, no matter how small, and continue to focus on the positive changes you're making. Negativity and negative influences can quietly undermine our happiness and potential. By recognizing and addressing these forces, whether they come from within, from others, or from our environment, we can create a more positive, supportive, and fulfilling life. This journey is not about perfection, but about progress, and each small step toward positivity brings us closer to the life we desire. Number 8. Procrastination. We'll confront an enemy that many of us face daily: procrastination. This seemingly harmless habit can quietly undermine our goals, sap our motivation, and keep us from achieving the things we truly desire. But by understanding the roots of procrastination and taking deliberate steps to overcome it, we can reclaim our time and focus and move closer to our aspirations. Procrastination is the act of delaying or postponing tasks, often until the last minute. It's a habit that many of us struggle with, whether it's putting off a work project, avoiding a difficult conversation, or delaying personal goals. While procrastination might offer temporary relief from discomfort or stress, it often leads to increased anxiety, rushed work, and a lingering sense of guilt or failure. To begin addressing procrastination, it's important to understand why we do it. Procrastination is often driven by fear of failure, fear of making mistakes, or even fear of success. When faced with a challenging task, our minds may try to protect us from potential pain or discomfort by convincing us to put it off. This can create a cycle where the more we delay, the more daunting the task becomes, leading to even more procrastination. Another common cause of procrastination is perfectionism. When we set unrealistically high standards for ourselves, we may become paralyzed by the fear that we won't be able to meet them. This can lead to a "why bother" mentality, where we avoid starting a task altogether because we fear we won't do it perfectly. Perfectionism can make even simple tasks seem overwhelming, causing us to delay them until we're forced to complete them under pressure. Procrastination can also be a form of resistance to change or growth. When a task challenges us to step out of our comfort zone or learn something new, it can trigger feelings of uncertainty or inadequacy. In these moments, procrastination can serve as a way to avoid confronting these uncomfortable emotions. However, this avoidance keeps us stuck in our current patterns and prevents us from growing and achieving our goals. To overcome procrastination, we must first acknowledge it without judgment. Recognize when you're procrastinating and understand that it's a common human behavior, not a personal failing. This awareness is the first step toward breaking the cycle. Once you've identified that you're procrastinating, take a moment to reflect on why. Are you avoiding a task because it feels overwhelming? Are you afraid of failing? Understanding the root cause of your procrastination can help you address it more effectively. One effective strategy for combating procrastination is to break tasks into smaller, more manageable steps. When a task feels too big or daunting, it's easy to put it off. But by breaking it down into smaller, actionable steps, you can make the task feel more achievable and less intimidating. For example, if you're procrastinating on writing a report, start by outlining the main points, then write one section at a time. Each small step brings you closer to completing the task and builds momentum. Another technique is to set specific, realistic deadlines for yourself. Procrastination often thrives in the absence of clear deadlines. By setting a specific time or date to complete a task, you create a sense of urgency and accountability. If the deadline feels too far away, try setting intermediate deadlines for smaller tasks along the way. This can help you stay on track and avoid the last-minute rush. It's also important to create an environment that minimizes distractions and promotes focus. Procrastination often occurs when we're surrounded by distractions, whether it's our phones, social media, or other tasks that feel more appealing. Take steps to eliminate or reduce these distractions during focused work time. This might mean turning off notifications, setting specific times for checking email or social media, or creating a designated workspace free from interruptions. Mindfulness can also play a key role in overcoming procrastination. By staying present and focused on the task at hand, you can reduce the urge to avoid or delay it. When you notice yourself starting to procrastinate, take a deep breath and bring your attention back to the present moment. Remind yourself why the task is important and how completing it aligns with your goals. Mindfulness can help you stay centered and motivated even when faced with challenging tasks. Another approach is to build a routine or habit around tasks you tend to procrastinate on. For example, if you often procrastinate on exercising, try scheduling it at the same time every day until it becomes a habit. When a task becomes part of your routine, it requires less mental effort to start, making it easier to overcome procrastination. Finally, practice self-compassion as you work to break the habit of procrastination. Changing ingrained patterns takes time and effort, and there will be setbacks along the way. Instead of criticizing yourself for procrastinating, acknowledge the challenge and celebrate your progress, no matter how small. Each step you take toward overcoming procrastination is a victory that brings you closer to your goals. Number 9. Perfectionism. Welcome to Chapter 9 of our series on quiet self-transformation. In this chapter, we'll explore the often misunderstood and insidious force of perfectionism. While striving for excellence can be a positive trait, perfectionism takes it to an extreme, where the pursuit of flawlessness becomes a barrier to progress, creativity, and self-acceptance. By recognizing the signs of perfectionism and learning to let go of the need to be perfect, we can open ourselves to growth, fulfillment, and a more balanced life. Perfectionism is the relentless drive to meet impossibly high standards, often accompanied by an intense fear of making mistakes or falling short. On the surface, it may seem like perfectionism is about achieving greatness, but in reality, it's often rooted in fear of failure, fear of judgment, and fear of not being good enough. This fear can create a cycle where nothing ever feels satisfactory, leading to procrastination, stress, and a constant sense of inadequacy. One of the key characteristics of perfectionism is all-or-nothing thinking. Perfectionists tend to see things in black and white. Either something is perfect or it's a failure. This mindset can be paralyzing because it leaves no room for mistakes, learning, or growth. It can lead to a fear of starting new projects, trying new things, or taking risks, because anything less than perfect feels unacceptable. This rigid thinking can prevent us from exploring our full potential and enjoying the journey of personal and professional development. Another hallmark of perfectionism is an overly critical self-assessment. Perfectionists often set unrealistically high expectations for themselves and then harshly criticize themselves when they don't meet these standards. This self-criticism can be relentless and damaging, leading to feelings of inadequacy and low self-esteem. Over time, it can erode our confidence and make it difficult to recognize and appreciate our achievements, no matter how significant they are. Perfectionism can also manifest in the need for constant control. Perfectionists may feel the need to control every aspect of a situation to ensure that it meets their high standards. This can lead to micromanagement, difficulty delegating tasks, and an inability to trust others. The desire for control can create stress and tension, both in our personal and professional lives, and can strain relationships with others. To begin addressing perfectionism, it's important to recognize it as a barrier rather than a strength. While striving for excellence is admirable, perfectionism is a trap that keeps us stuck in a cycle of self-doubt and dissatisfaction. The first step in overcoming perfectionism is to challenge all-or-nothing thinking. Instead of viewing things as either perfect or a failure, practice embracing the gray areas. Acknowledge that progress, learning, and growth often come from mistakes and imperfections. When you catch yourself falling into black and white thinking, remind yourself that perfection is not the goal, growth is. Another important step is to reframe your self-assessment. Instead of focusing on what you didn't achieve or what went wrong, practice recognizing and celebrating your successes, no matter how small. Shift your focus from what you didn't do to what you did do. This might mean acknowledging the effort you put into a task, the lessons you learned along the way, or the courage it took to try something new. By shifting your perspective, you can begin to build a more balanced and compassionate view of yourself. It's also important to set realistic, attainable goals. Perfectionists often set goals that are so high they're nearly impossible to achieve. This sets them up for failure and reinforces the cycle of self-criticism. Instead, practice setting goals that are challenging but achievable. Break larger goals into smaller, manageable steps and allow yourself to adjust your expectations as you go. Remember that progress is more important than perfection. Learning to embrace vulnerability is another key aspect of overcoming perfectionism. Perfectionism often stems from a fear of being vulnerable, of showing our true selves, flaws and all to the world. But vulnerability is not a weakness, it's a strength. It's what allows us to connect with others, to learn and grow, and to live authentically. Practice embracing your imperfections and allowing yourself to be seen as you truly are. This might mean sharing your struggles with a trusted friend, asking for help when you need it, or taking a risk even when you're not sure of the outcome. Mindfulness can also be a powerful tool in overcoming perfectionism. By staying present in the moment, you can reduce the tendency to obsess over past mistakes or worry about future outcomes. Mindfulness allows you to focus on the task at hand without the burden of unrealistic expectations. When you notice perfectionistic thoughts creeping in, take a deep breath and bring your attention back to the present moment. Remind yourself that you are doing your best and that is enough. Finally, practice self-compassion. Perfectionism is often driven by a harsh inner critic, but self-compassion allows us to be kind and gentle with ourselves. When you find yourself falling into perfectionistic patterns, take a moment to offer yourself the same kindness and understanding you would offer to a friend in a similar situation. Acknowledge your efforts, forgive yourself for any mistakes, and remind yourself that you are worthy of love and acceptance just as you are. Number 10. Negative influences. Negative influences, whether they come from people, environments, or even our own habits, can quietly erode our sense of self, drain our energy, and steer us away from our true path. By recognizing and eliminating negative influences, we can create a more positive, nurturing environment that supports our growth and well-being. Negative influences come in many forms. They can be people who consistently bring us down, environments that stifle our creativity or joy, or habits that undermine our physical and mental health. These influences may not always be obvious, and they often creep into our lives unnoticed, gradually shaping our thoughts, behaviors, and attitudes. Over time, they can have a profound impact on our sense of self-worth, our ability to pursue our goals, and our overall happiness. One of the most common sources of negative influence is the people we surround ourselves with. Friends, family members, co-workers, or even casual acquaintances can either uplift us or bring us down. Negative people may be critical, judgmental, or unsupportive. They may constantly complain, gossip, or focus on the negative aspects of life. While it's important to be compassionate and understanding, it's equally important to recognize when someone's negativity is affecting your well-being. Ask yourself, are there people in my life who consistently make me feel drained, anxious, or unworthy? Do I find myself doubting my abilities or questioning my decisions after spending time with them? If the answer is yes, it may be time to reevaluate these relationships. While it's not always possible to completely cut ties with negative individuals, especially if they're close family members, you can set boundaries to protect your emotional and mental health. This might mean limiting your interactions, avoiding certain topics of conversation, or simply not allowing their negativity to affect your self-worth. Another significant negative influence can be our environment. The spaces we inhabit, whether it's our home, workplace, or social circles, can either nourish our soul or deplete it. An environment filled with clutter, chaos, or negativity can make it difficult to focus, relax, or feel at peace. Conversely, a space that is clean, organized, and filled with positive energy can have a calming and uplifting effect on our mood and mindset. Take a moment to assess your environment. Does your living space reflect the life you want to live? Is it a place where you feel calm, inspired, and at ease? If not, consider making changes to create a more positive atmosphere. This could involve decluttering your home, adding elements that bring you joy, such as plants, art, or meaningful objects, or creating designated areas for relaxation, work, and creativity. Small changes in your environment can have a big impact on your overall well-being. Our habits and routines can also be significant sources of negative influence. Habits that seem harmless in the short term can have a cumulative effect over time, leading to physical, emotional, or mental harm. For example, regularly engaging in unhealthy eating, neglecting exercise, or spending excessive time on social media can drain our energy, lower our self-esteem, and contribute to feelings of dissatisfaction or stress. To counteract these negative influences, it's important to develop healthy, positive habits that support your goals and well-being. This might include regular exercise, a balanced diet, meditation, journaling, or spending time in nature. Focus on habits that energize you, bring you joy, and help you connect with your true self. By replacing negative habits with positive ones, you can create a foundation for lasting change and personal growth. It's also crucial to be mindful of the content we consume. In today's digital age, we are constantly bombarded with information, much of which can be negative or harmful. Whether it's the news, social media, or entertainment, the content we engage with can shape our thoughts, beliefs, and attitudes. If you find that certain media or content leaves you feeling anxious, angry, or hopeless, it may be time to reconsider your consumption habits. Consider curating your media diet to include content that inspires, educates, and uplifts you. This might mean following positive and empowering social media accounts, reading books that expand your horizons, or watching shows and movies that bring you joy and laughter. By being selective about the content you consume, you can protect your mental and emotional well-being and cultivate a more positive and optimistic outlook on life. Eliminating negative influences from your life is not always easy, but it is a powerful step toward creating a life that aligns with your values, goals, and desires. It requires self-awareness, courage, and a commitment to your well-being. Remember that it's okay to prioritize yourself and your happiness, even if it means making difficult decisions or changes. Number 11. Unfulfilled goals, unfinished aspirations, dreams left on the shelf, and promises we've made to ourselves can quietly erode our sense of purpose and satisfaction. But by addressing these unfulfilled goals with honesty and intention, we can either breathe new life into them or release them to make room for new possibilities. Unfulfilled goals can take many forms. They might be career ambitions that were never pursued, creative projects that were started but never finished, or personal milestones that were put off for another day. Sometimes these goals were abandoned because of circumstances beyond our control. Life took us in a different direction, or other priorities took precedence. Other times, we may have let them go because of fear, self-doubt, or procrastination. The presence of unfulfilled goals in our lives can create a sense of unfinished business, a lingering feeling that we haven't lived up to our potential. These unachieved aspirations can haunt us, subtly influencing our daily lives and our overall sense of self-worth. They can lead to a cycle of self-criticism, where we constantly berate ourselves for what we haven't accomplished, instead of appreciating what we have achieved. To begin addressing unfulfilled goals, it's important to first acknowledge them without judgment. Take a moment to reflect on the goals you've set for yourself in the past. Which ones have you achieved? Which ones have fallen by the wayside? As you do this, resist the urge to criticize yourself for what hasn't been done. Instead, view this as an opportunity to reassess and realign with your true desires. Once you've identified your unfulfilled goals, the next step is to evaluate their relevance to your current life. Ask yourself, is this goal still important to me? Does it align with who I am now and what I want for my future? Sometimes, goals that were once meaningful lose their significance as we grow and change. It's okay to let go of goals that no longer resonate with you. Releasing them can free up mental and emotional space for new dreams and aspirations that are more aligned with your current values and desires. If you find that a goal is still important to you, the next step is to rekindle your commitment to it. Start by breaking the goal down into smaller, actionable steps. Unfulfilled goals often feel overwhelming because they're large and abstract, making it difficult to know where to start. By breaking the goal into manageable tasks, you can create a clear roadmap that guides you toward achievement. Each small step forward builds momentum and brings you closer to realizing your dream. It's also important to set realistic timelines for your goals. Sometimes, unfulfilled goals linger because we haven't set clear deadlines for ourselves. Without a sense of urgency, it's easy to keep putting things off, telling ourselves that we'll get to it someday. To counteract this, set specific, attainable deadlines for each step of your goal. These deadlines create a sense of accountability and help you stay focused on making progress. In pursuing your goals, it's crucial to remain flexible and open to change. Life is unpredictable, and sometimes our plans need to be adjusted along the way. If you encounter obstacles or setbacks, don't be discouraged. Instead, view them as opportunities to learn and grow. Adjust your approach if needed, but keep your eyes on the prize. Remember that persistence and resilience are key to achieving your goals, even in the face of challenges. Another important aspect of fulfilling your goals is to seek support and accountability. Share your goals with someone you trust, a friend, mentor, or coach, who can offer encouragement, guidance, and accountability. Having someone to share your journey with can make the process more enjoyable and less daunting. It also provides an external source of motivation, especially during times when your own resolve may waver. As you work toward your goals, practice celebrating your progress no matter how small. Each step you take is a victory in itself, a testament to your commitment and determination. Acknowledging and celebrating these small wins can boost your motivation and keep you moving forward. It also helps to create a positive feedback loop, where each achievement reinforces your belief in your ability to succeed. However, if you find that a goal is no longer achievable due to changed circumstances or priorities, it's important to practice self-compassion in letting it go. Sometimes, despite our best efforts, certain goals may not be attainable, and that's okay. Letting go of a goal doesn't mean you've failed. It means you're choosing to focus your energy on what's truly possible and meaningful in your life right now. This act of releasing can be empowering, allowing you to move forward without the burden of unmet expectations. Number 12. the art of silent reflection. Lastly, we'll explore the profound practice of silent reflection, a practice that allows us to connect with our inner selves, gain clarity, and find peace in the midst of life's noise. Silent reflection is an art, a deliberate act of pausing to listen to the whispers of our soul, to contemplate our experiences, and to make meaning of our journey. By embracing this art, we can cultivate wisdom, resilience, and a deeper understanding of who we are and who we wish to become. In a world filled with constant stimulation and distraction, the act of sitting in silence can seem foreign, even uncomfortable. We are often conditioned to seek answers outside of ourselves, to fill every moment with activity or noise. Yet, it is in the silence that we find the space to truly listen to our thoughts, our emotions, and the subtle messages that our inner selves are trying to convey. Silent reflection is not about escaping from the world. Rather, it's about tuning in to the world within. It's an opportunity to step away from the external chaos and reconnect with your core. This practice doesn't require any special tools or techniques, just a willingness to be still and present with yourself. It's about creating a sacred space where you can explore your thoughts, examine your life, and gain insight into your true desires and intentions. One of the most powerful aspects of silent reflection is its ability to reveal patterns and truths that might otherwise go unnoticed. In the quiet moments of contemplation, we can observe the recurring themes in our lives, the habits, beliefs, and emotions that shape our experiences. We can identify the areas where we are thriving and the areas where we may be holding ourselves back. This awareness is the first step toward meaningful change, allowing us to make conscious choices that align with our values and goals. Silent reflection also offers a space for healing. Life's challenges, disappointments, and losses can leave emotional scars that we carry with us, often without fully processing them. In silence, we can gently explore these wounds, allowing ourselves to feel and release the emotions that we may have suppressed. This process of introspection can lead to profound healing, helping us to move forward with a lighter heart and a clearer mind. To begin the practice of silent reflection, find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed. This could be a corner of your home, a peaceful spot in nature, or even a quiet room where you can close the door and be alone with your thoughts. Sit comfortably, close your eyes if it feels right, and take a few deep breaths to center yourself. Allow your thoughts to flow naturally, without trying to control or direct them. Simply observe whatever arises, whether it's a memory, an emotion, or a question. As you sit in silence, you may find that your mind begins to wander or that distractions arise. This is natural and part of the process. When you notice your mind drifting, gently bring your focus back to your breath or to the present moment. There's no need to force anything or to strive for a particular outcome. Silent reflection is about being with whatever is, without judgment or expectation. You may choose to reflect on a specific aspect of your life, a decision you need to make, a relationship, or a goal you're pursuing. Or you may simply sit with an open mind, allowing whatever needs to surface to come into your awareness. Over time, you'll develop a deeper connection with your inner self and a greater ability to access your own wisdom and intuition. Incorporating silent reflection into your daily routine can be a powerful way to stay connected with yourself and your intentions. Even just a few minutes each day can have a profound impact on your sense of clarity and peace. You might choose to reflect in the morning, setting the tone for your day, or in the evening as a way to unwind and process the events of the day. The key is consistency, making silent reflection a regular practice that you return to, no matter what's happening in your life. Silent reflection is also a practice that can be deepened over time. As you become more comfortable with sitting in silence, you may find that you're able to access deeper layers of insight and understanding. You may also begin to notice the subtle shifts in your thoughts, emotions, and energy that occur as you practice regularly. These shifts are often a sign that you're becoming more attuned to your inner self and more aligned with your true path. One of the greatest gifts of silent reflection is the sense of inner peace that it can bring. In the stillness, we can find a refuge from the pressures and demands of the external world. We can connect with a sense of calm that is always available to us, no matter what is happening around us. This inner peace is not about avoiding or denying life's challenges, but rather about finding a stable and centered place within ourselves from which we can navigate those challenges with grace and resilience. In conclusion, the art of silent reflection is a powerful tool for self-discovery, healing, and growth. By embracing this practice, we can cultivate a deeper connection with ourselves, gain clarity and insight, and find peace in the midst of life's noise. Silent reflection allows us to step back from the busyness of life, to listen to our inner voice, and to align our actions with our true desires and intentions. Thank you for joining us in this exploration of silent reflection and in this entire series on quiet self-transformation. As you continue on your journey, may you carry with you the wisdom and insights you've gained, and may you always find the time and space to sit in silence, listen to your soul, and reflect on the path ahead. Please, if you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and be on the lookout for our weekly videos. Be safe, be well, and take care.